All right, well, welcome everybody. Today we have Lianna Goldstein with us, who is a Green Corps member with the city of Minneapolis. She started her service just this past year, and she has worked on a variety of virtual education and outreach projects about water quality. And she has connected directly with members of the community and gotten some great ideas and input from them to then create some educational programming and presentations to encourage more involvement from the community and to participate in watershed stewardship. The topics that she has covered is salt management, stormwater, BMPs, green infrastructure, and lake water quality. So I of course am very excited to share Lianna's great work with all of you. I am interested to learn the other things. I only know the stuff related to chloride that she's been doing, which has been fantastic. And it's been a really great pleasure to get to know Lianna over this past year and work with her. So I'm really glad that she took some time out of her schedule to share her work with us. So thank you for joining us, Lianna, and I will let you take it from here.
Awesome, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. Today I'll be just sharing some of my experience as a Minnesota Green Corps member with you and just a few of the projects I've been working on this past year. So to begin, a little bit about myself.
Sure, hold on a second.
I graduated from Macalester College in May of 2020 with a Bachelor of Arts in Biology and a minor in Environmental Studies. Macalester, being a small liberal arts school, exposed me to many different areas and interests. So rather than jumping right into my major, I was able to test out the waters a little bit and take a variety of courses to determine where my interests lie. Outside of school, I enjoy being in nature and doing all sorts of different outdoor activities like running and hiking. And then tying all this together, I really enjoy taking photographs of wildlife, including trees. So after taking an ecology course and another environmental studies course, I knew that that was the perfect place for me to continue my studies. It combined both my interest for science and the environment and the world around me. During my college career, I remember reading Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, where she said, "The more clearly we focus our attention on the wonders and realities of the universe, about the universe around us, the less taste we shall have for destruction." This has really resonated with me, as I believe that together we must focus on conserving our beautiful Earth so that future generations may live in a sustainably driven society. Carson's success in the environmental sector is one of the many reasons that has inspired me to work towards environmental justice in the world. So just a little bit about Minnesota Green Corps. Minnesota Green Corps is an AmeriCorps program coordinated by the MPCA, and it's designed to help preserve and protect Minnesota's environment while training a new generation of environmental professionals. Each year, the program places about 50 AmeriCorps members with host organizations throughout the state of Minnesota to help communities increase resilience to climate change. Since the program began in 2009, Minnesota Green Corps members have implemented environmental service projects, educating youth, coordinating multimodal transportation events, conducting energy benchmarking, waste sorts and tree inventories, removing invasive species, planting trees, and building rain gardens. These projects increase the resilience of Minnesota communities to the impacts of climate change. So Minnesota Green Corps members improve the environment and strengthen communities while gaining green job skills and networking with environmental professionals. Members are placed at host sites, organizations throughout the state to assist local communities and governments in addressing a variety of statewide needs, including reducing solid waste, air pollutants, water reduction and runoff, and to build the capacity of organizations to integrate sustainability practices into every day, and also increase community member involvement and environmental knowledge and change their behaviors related to the environment. Currently, there are 41 AmeriCorps members positioned at various host sites throughout Minnesota. This year, some of the host sites include governments, counties, environmental nonprofits, school districts, and watersheds. We serve an 11th month AmeriCorps service term from September to August. So the ability to work directly with communities to address environmental issues is initially what drew me to AmeriCorps, GreenCorps. Upon graduating, I had a lot of different interests, and I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do or where I wanted to pursue a career. But I felt that GreenCorps would be the perfect opportunity to diversify my experience. Previously, I had only had exposure at the college level. I worked at my college's sustainability office, did a summer of ecological research at a field station, and I also interned at a nonprofit, environmental nonprofit. But the GreenCorps gave me the opportunity to expose myself to a new area and gain more experience in a professional setting, while still giving back to the community. What I also really appreciated about GreenCorps is the ability to gain new skills in new spaces, and as well as make connections with others in the field. In GreenCorps, there's a strong focus on growth, learning, and making connections. My passion for the environment and making communities more resilient to the impacts of climate change is initially what led me to apply. I was excited at the opportunity to be part of the larger GreenCorps cohort. All of us have a passion for service and the community, so it's wonderful being able to serve at our individual host sites and then be able to collaborate and learn from each other's experiences as well. We're all working together with the end goal in mind of creating a more sustainable and equitable future for all. So within GreenCorps, members are divided into 4 different topic areas: air pollutant reduction, green infrastructure, community readiness and outreach, and waste reduction and organics management. Air pollutant reduction members work to decrease overall energy use of buildings and vehicles through benchmarking, engagement, and implementation of conservation efficiency measures. Green infrastructure is broken up into 2 different subtopic areas: forestry and stormwater, and members strengthen community resilience by implementing green infrastructure practices related to stormwater management and community or urban forestry. Community readiness and outreach members provide outreach, education, and assistance to organizations to raise understanding and increase best management practices pertaining to chloride reduction and surface water, air pollutant reduction, green infrastructure improvements, and waste reduction. And lastly, waste reduction and organics management members provide expertise and assistance through waste prevention recycling, prevention of food wasted, and composting and organics management. And just because a member is only in one topic area doesn't mean that they only do one type of work. For example, some members who serve in waste reduction also do outreach, but their main focus and their time is dedicated to waste projects. I serve as a Community Readiness and Outreach Minnesota GreenCorps member. So I provide community-based outreach, education, and assistance to community organizations through campaigns, presentations, events, workshops, social media, and more. My outreach and assistance are mainly focused on green infrastructure improvements and chloride reduction. What I really appreciate most about these topic areas is that we meet once a month as a smaller group, and we update each other on our projects, collaborate, and work through our different ideas. Since the Minnesota GreenCorps cohort is quite large with over 40 individuals, the smaller topic areas make conversations and getting to know each other much more manageable. Within my topic area, we have members serving at St. Paul Public Schools, the MPCA, Hamlin, City of St. Paul, 9 Mile Watershed District, and more. So my host site is the City of Minneapolis. Specifically, I serve with the Public Works, Surface Waters, and Sewers regulatory team. The main goals of surface waters and sewers are to, 1, increase awareness of stormwater management practices and surface water quality issues. 2, provide information about the City of Minneapolis programs and operations that will improve surface water quality. And 3, encourage community involvement and participation in watershed stewardship. So before beginning, I was given a general work plan about what type of things I'll be doing during the service year. but nothing too specific about what kinds of educational programs to develop. This gave me a lot of flexibility in the type of work I did, but also required me to stay organized and on top of my work. For the first few weeks, I worked directly with my host site supervisor and the rest of our team to better understand the needs of the city and the ways that I could assist during my service term. To stay organized, I made sure to catalog the work that is being done already, and also kept an organized system of progress on different projects. I completed a reconnaissance of the work that was currently being done with the Surface Waters and Sewers regulatory team. And then I developed mini work plans detailing information about specific tasks, plans, and next steps for project opportunities. These mini work plans help ground me in understanding where my work best fit in. In addition, it can be also used as an organizational tool for future work to keep our projects organized in the city. So as a community readiness and outreach Minnesota GreenCorps member, my work is focused on engaging and connecting with community members. Specifically, I'm connecting with city constituents to help increase awareness of stormwater management and surface water quality issues. I connect directly with community members through educational programming and presentations to encourage community involvement and participation in watershed stewardship, and I develop educational programs and projects that align with that. So due to the pandemic, this position has been solely remote, and I have had to quickly adapt and create virtual outreach and educational opportunities. It has kind of been a challenge with COVID to engage with the community, but I have found ways to communicate the city's water quality goals and connect with members on a deeper level. My work is divided into 4 different areas: salt and chloride, stormwater and BMPs, green infrastructure, and lake water quality. And today I'll be sharing with you some of the projects I work on in relation to these areas. So the first way that I have engaged with the public is through outreach efforts related to salt and chloride. This is specifically relevant during winter months, as people were able to see the connection between their actions of salt application and also potential impacts on our waterways. Minnesota Chloride Program Administrator Brooke is a Minnesota GreenCorps mentor, and also met with a group of GreenCorps members, including myself, on a regular basis to talk about various chloride projects. We are so thankful to Brooke for her support, guidance, and resources that she provides, especially for members who have chloride in our work plans. They've been so helpful with that. So thank you, Brooke. So just a little bit about salt in our waters. Minnesota has a growing salty water problem. When snow and ice melt, the salt we spread on icy roads, parking lots, sidewalks, and more must go somewhere. An estimated 365,000 tons of road salt is applied in just the Twin Cities metro area each year. The excess salt flows directly into ditches and storm drains, and then into lakes, streams, wetlands, and groundwater. Salt is a permanent pollutant. It does not break down or degrade over time, and instead will persist, permanently polluting our waterways. In fact, it only takes 1 teaspoon of salt to permanently pollute 5 gallons of water. Less is more when it comes to applying salt, because at high concentrations, chloride can harm the fish and plant life in our waters, and also alter the taste of drinking water. You probably noticed the unfortunate sight of large clumps of salt on bare pavement during the winter. Here, there is no ice remaining on the sidewalk, just large patches of salt. This is not an ideal example of proper salting during the winter, because more salting does not mean more melting. In fact, the salt sitting on the sidewalk there is no longer helping us. It's hurting us, polluting our waterways. We've all seen it, and now it's time to address the problem head on. So one of the more substantial projects I completed around salt and chloride was the launch of a new program at the city around salt education called the Minneapolis Salt Mini Course. I initiated this effort to create an educational opportunity for residents and businesses that is easily accessible. In this course, community members can learn about the consequences of oversalting and what they can do to help protect our waters. Through conversations with the community, we learned that attending some of the longer trainings was a barrier to those who just wanted to learn a little bit more. So we designed the course to be self-guided and online so that people can do it at their own pace and at their own time. The mini course is broken up into 5 different sections and consists of reading passages and watching a series of online videos. The videos consist of resources developed by a few other agencies in the area, including Mississippi Watershed Management Organization, the MPCA, and Fortin Consulting. By collaborating with our partners, we were able to help share their resources and utilize them to our benefit as well. I think one of the strongest pulls to this program is the fact that it's self-guided. People can read as much as they want at a time and can pause and come back later if they don't feel that they can make the commitment to finish it all at one time. In addition, the full course takes less than 1 hour, and it gives people just enough information for them to have a better understanding and hopefully want to make behavioral change without getting bogged down by the technical details and high levels of jargon. Upon completion of the course, residents can pledge to become a salt steward and request a salt decal, as shown here, to display their commitment and encourage others to do so as well. With this project, I hope to raise awareness of water quality issues and empower our community to act and make a positive impact on the environment. I hope to motivate community members to lower their salt use during the winter to protect water quality. We hope that this program makes salt education more accessible and maybe see some behavioral change moving forward. In addition to developing the mini course, at the city, we are focused on engaging with community through salt education presentations. I connected with Minneapolis community members to help develop a stronger understanding of oversalting in the winter, and then also the water quality issues it presents. In conversations with the Audubon neighborhood community, the city of Minneapolis learned that there's an opportunity for greater education and outreach around salting for winter road and sidewalk maintenance. Through feedback with master water stewards, I presented about the connection between oversalting and water quality. And throughout the winter months, I gave several other presentations at various community meetings in Minneapolis. In these presentations, I tailored content to create more neighborhood-specific messaging. For example, I presented at a green team meeting, which had individuals already involved and engaged with the environmental movement, compared to a more general audience at neighborhood association meetings. The audience ranged from large groups to small group discussions. And these virtual meetings have been great opportunities for us to share information with the public so that they feel confident moving forward into the winter months about how to apply salt. So after developing this connection with community members, I was then asked to create various electronic newsletters and social media blurbs. I also designed several different graphics depicting salt and its connection to our waterways. By engaging with the community through presentations and being asked to develop newsletter content, it helped me realize the power of community sharing. I found that the public is genuinely interested in learning more. Sharing what I've learned with them, as well as hearing their experience with salt use, has been very helpful as I continue to work on salt education in Minneapolis. So just some things about salt, like how can you help? Salt is a widely used and it's an important public safety tool in winter conditions. The goal is not to compromise public safety, but instead advocate for how we can wisely utilize salt to provide safe conditions and also be mindful of the environment. So during our next storm, remember these 4 steps. Shovel early and often. Clear walkways before snow turns to ice and before you apply salt. The more snow you clear manually, the less salt you'll actually need. Select the correct product. Not all de-icers work at all temperatures. Salt doesn't melt ice if the pavement temperature is below 15 degrees. So use salt for traction when it's too cold, or choose a different de-icer. Salt sparingly. Use salt only where it's critical. When you apply salt to pavement, leave plenty of space between the granules. A 12-ounce coffee cup is enough to cover 10 sidewalk squares or a 20-foot driveway. And again, more salting does not mean more melting. Sweep up and reuse excess salt. Clean up leftover salt, sand, and de-icer to save and reuse as needed. If salt or sand is visible on dry pavement, it is no longer doing any work and will be washed away into our waterways. So why not sweep it up and use it again? The next section of my work plan focused on stormwater and BMPs. This included community outreach projects targeted at the management of stormwater runoff. So just some more background information. As many of you probably already know, stormwater is snowmelt runoff or precipitation that accumulates in stormwater storage systems during and immediately following a storm event that enters the storm drain system and empties into our lakes, rivers, and streams. Surface water is water that remains on the surface of the ground, including rivers, lakes, ponds, reservoirs, streams, wetlands, whether it be natural or artificial, public or private. Keeping stormwater clean is important to everyone as it eventually empties into our surface waters. Managing stormwater and surface water protects and improves the quality of the Mississippi River and the lakes and creeks of Minneapolis. This short video from Mississippi Watershed Management Organization shows stormwater discharging into our water body in Northeast Minneapolis on an exceptionally rainy day. The stormwater outfall discharging here is approximately 30 cubic feet per second, which is approximately 30 times the normal base flow rate for this outfall. It's a very riveting video, but it's only 18 seconds. So. Oops. So urbanization and the use of storm drains have caused an increase in the amount of water, pollutants, and sediment that enters Minneapolis lakes and creeks. A typical downtown block produces about 9 times more runoff than a wooded area of the same size. Stormwater runoff flows off hard surfaces such as roofs, driveways, parking lots, carrying a wide range of pollutants. These can include oil and grease, sediment, bacteria, and more. And to keep these pollutants from reaching our waters, the city builds and maintains best management practices, or BMPs, to filter out these pollutants. Stormwater BMPs, or best management practices, such as treatment, wetlands, and ponds, are used to improve water quality in lakes and creeks. These structures help deal with excessive runoff and keep our waterways clean by allowing for pollutants and sediment to settle out before they reach a water body. They do this through 3 different ways, targeting the quantity, rate, and quality of runoff. As runoff makes its way into the stormwater practice through either infiltration, evaporation, or evapotranspiration and other processes, the water is then cleaned so that when it leaves, the goal is there is less stuff, meaning less pollutants and other debris in it. A few examples of this in action include filtration basins, weirs, and ponds. Filtration basins are shallow planted areas, further clean water by encouraging it to pass into the soil through a layer of clay soil, and then laterally underground to the park's open ponds. Plants are a critical part of this process. Above ground leaves and stems prevent water from moving too quickly and causing erosion. And then below ground, plant roots, they form tiny channels in the soil, thus increasing filtration rates and helping to remove pollutants. A weir connects the filtration basins to each other and catches larger debris. And then the ponds serve as both an amenity and a stormwater device. It is here to treat the dirty stormwater before it goes into the Mississippi. As the water flows in, it takes out oils, pollutants, sediment, and other debris that might otherwise pollute the river where the water is headed next. So after learning about all of these great projects the city is doing around stormwater management, I thought a good way to depict this information is through creating an interactive story map. So the goal of this project is to help people in the community understand what's in their neighborhood, give a background on the Heritage Park project, and learn about water quality management tactics the city employs. This is a self-guided walking tour for people to learn and walk around Heritage Park's environment. In the format of a story map, users can scroll through the online platform and learn about Heritage Park's stormwater management system. The intended audience for this story map is the residents and community members of Heritage Park, but it's open to anyone who may be interested in learning more about stormwater management and the environment around them. The nice thing about a story map is that it's easily accessible to the public, and users don't actually have to go to the site if they can't. They can also just follow through the tour from the safety of their own home. So a little bit about the background of Heritage Park. Heritage Park project implemented a stormwater treatment train in the middle of a 145-acre North Minneapolis housing development. A variety of above ground and underground structures were built to remove pollution from stormwater runoff. The project represented a rare opportunity to correct years of environmental degradation by introducing natural stormwater filtration into a heavily urbanized area. The treatments, which include grit chambers to remove particles and debris, trench forebays to collect sediment, level spreaders to slow runoff, and filtration basins to remove pollutants, also treat stormwater from several surrounding areas. Stormwater runoff that had been flowing directly into the Mississippi River is now diverted into Heritage Park, their treatment system there. So I divided the tour into two different loops, a north and a south loop. Along the way, users can learn about the different BMPs and the work that the stormwater treatment devices do to help keep our waterways clean. Each device plays an important role in further cleaning the water as it makes its way from street runoff to the Mississippi River. The north loop, the longer of the two, is approximately 1 mile in length. So generally, the way this works is when rain falls or snow melts in a city, the water often lands on non-absorbent surfaces like sidewalks, streets, and rooftops. Water runs off these surfaces, collecting pollutants like oils, dog waste, grasses, sediment, and makes its way to our lakes and rivers. But here at Heritage Park, wetlands and native plants help to filter and cleanse the runoff, making the Mississippi River cleaner, healthier for both plants, animals, and people. So here's a little screenshot of the South Loop, which is approximately 1/2 mile in length. The story map will launch soon on the city's website, so I hope that when you have a chance, you'll take a closer look. We are very proud of this project and hope it will be well utilized by the community as an educational tool and opportunity to learn more about what kind of work the city does around stormwater. Now that this first story map has been made, we plan to expand this further and create more walking tour opportunities using the story map feature of ArcGIS. The next section of my work plan included green stormwater infrastructure, or GSI. GSI includes a range of stormwater management features such as bioretention, bioswales, and permeable pavement, which mimic natural hydraulic conditions. These features capture, infiltrate, and cleanse stormwater runoff while maximizing benefits of green space in the transportation corridor. GSI is designed to capture and manage stormwater runoff from drainage areas, reduce the peak flow or volume of stormwater, and remove pollutants and sediment. As part of the Green Infrastructure Work Plan, I was tasked with assisting in developing Train the Trainer series of green infrastructure educational materials to be used by various city staff and stakeholders. For this project, I worked closely with our Green Infrastructure Coordinator at the city. This project has 2 phases. Phase 1 included identifying the problem, conducting a needs assessment, and creating a survey and meeting with our city partners. From the needs assessment, we learned what training is needed and what would be most beneficial moving forward. Phase 2 will include developing the training based on what we learned. And so far, we have completed Phase 1, and Phase 2 will begin shortly. The City of Minneapolis has recently launched new guidance documents, including the Street Design Guide and the Chapter 54 Stormwater Ordinance. Chapter 54 is a Minneapolis ordinance that establishes requirements for land disturbing activities and for existing stormwater devices. Both of these documents are resources that will be used as a guide as we develop training. And the goal of this training is to develop green infrastructure training for design professionals or stormwater urban retrofit design. To begin this, I led and facilitated an inventory of educational activities through conducting a survey with city stakeholders and then also analyzing a needs assessment to drive curriculum for the green infrastructure course development. This information will then be used as we develop training sessions for stormwater design professionals on green infrastructure projects. The goal of the partner survey was to have conversations with our city partners to learn what they are doing around green infrastructure training, determine areas for collaboration, and also learn how we can build upon their existing work. I connected with partners from our local watershed, MWMO, Bassett Creek, Mississippi Creek, and Shingle Creek. Also the MPCA, Bowser, MnDOT, Hennepin County, the Parks Board, Met Council, City of St. Paul, and also internal staff at the city. We communicated with our partners to learn about their needs and partnering opportunities around green infrastructure. Our survey and subsequent trainings will be guided and framed by our conversations with our partners. After our partner conversations, I developed a survey that was sent out to design professionals asking for input on training needs. So we surveyed designers, consultants, and other professionals in the region. The survey was sent out to 60 individuals, and we received about 36 responses, which I think was a good response rate considering it was a survey that had a lot of technical content. It was beneficial to learn from the community to figure out what they think would be most helpful as we develop these trainings. And by getting community input, we can tailor the content to fit their needs and hopefully keep the trainings as engaging as possible. Now that we have learned what kinds of trainings and content will be most useful, the next step is actually designing the training. Over the next couple of months, we are working on developing the training and making sure it's easily accessible and understandable. We hope that our designers will learn much from these trainings and feel confident as they move forward with the City of Minneapolis's new stormwater policies around infrastructure. The fourth main area of focus was on lake water quality. The goal of this project is to digitally publish citywide infographics about our water quality monitoring program, our stormwater monitoring program, and the status of the City of Minneapolis's various lakes, which there are 13 in total. And this project was divided into 3 different phases. Phase 1 includes developing the scope of work, goals, timeline, resources, and how to achieve the project. Phase 2 includes identifying and selecting artists using the city's target market program. And Phase 3 is the actual implementation of the infographic and hiring the artist to continue the work. At my time in the city, I have completed Phase 1. Phase 2 is in progress, and Phase 3 will be continued by the city's next GreenCorps member. To begin, we collaborated with the Minneapolis Parks and Recreation Board as they are our main partner doing this work. MPRB, with funds supported by the City of Minneapolis, conducts extensive stormwater and surface water quality monitoring on Minneapolis lakes. The program monitors water quality parameters such as chloride and oxygen levels, temperature, and bacteria. Each year, MPRB publishes the Water Resources Report, showing water quality trends and goals. And the findings from research help to inform and guide Minneapolis's stormwater and surface water management decision making. The goal of this project is to make water quality monitoring information more accessible and more easily communicated to the people of Minneapolis. By creating infographics, we hope to translate some of the more jargon-heavy information from the report into a more accessible format. Many of our local watersheds have created lake water fact sheets as educational tools, and with help from them, we were inspired to create our own. I connected with fellow Minnesota GreenCorps member Lizzie Bohr, who currently serves at 9 Mile Creek Watershed District. And from talking with them, I learned that what kind of content may be beneficial to include in examples of their work. We found that collaboration across various organizations has been extremely helpful as we begin developing our own infographics. Here's a sample of one of the infographics we are currently working on, focused on lake management. In this infographic, we plan to highlight some of the work the City and Parks Board does around water quality, which include monitoring beach water resources, managing aquatic invasive species, and more. MPRB has an interactive ArcGIS Online website that depicts real-time water quality data for each of the city's lakes. While this infographic will be static in time, the QR code that we hope to list on the infographic will take the users to real-time data and updates. Here are a few other examples of the infographics. One focused on stormwater monitoring program, and the other on a specific lake owned and maintained by the city, Worth Lake. Worth is located in Golden Valley, but because it receives Minneapolis stormwater runoff, it is included as part of the 13 lakes that we monitor and maintain. These infographics are to be placed at various lakes throughout the city with information on the status of each lake regarding nutrient levels, invasive species, and what individuals can do to help protect our waterways. I feel that this section is a key component of the infographic because in addition to sharing information with the public, we also want to provide them action items that they can take to help contribute in a positive way to our environment. If people have the knowledge and the expertise, they are more likely to act and help us preserve our waters. Our main area of focus now is on phase 2 of this project, which includes working with a local artist to design the infographics. Minneapolis is a diverse community and everyone has a different background, so we've learned that we must cater to their understanding and clearly share our message. We plan to work with a local artist to design content that resonates with each community because everyone has a different exposure and experience with this type of information. We hope to curate information in a way that resonates with the community and leaves a lasting impact. We are excited to see what great expertise the artist brings to this project and look forward to seeing this as a beneficial educational opportunity for all Minneapolis residents in the future. So as I finish up my Minnesota GreenCorps service term, I'm reflecting on the year and everything that I've learned. For me, GreenCorps service has been a transformative experience, and I've learned a lot about myself and my interests in the environmental sector. First, this opportunity has allowed me to make so many connections, both with experts in the field, like those in my team at the City of Minneapolis and our partners, as well as other Minnesota GreenCorps members. It was great being a part of a larger cohort in Minnesota GreenCorps and support each other on our projects through both feedback, but also collaboration. I've also learned, especially due to the pandemic, that it's imperative to be both adaptable and flexible. Most of my work plan was originally planned and laid out prior to everything being virtual, so we had to quickly determine areas for my work to switch forms while still creating the same level of learning and experience that an in-person work would offer. I really appreciated how open my supervisor and the team at my host site were to the new ideas I offered around virtual outreach. I look forward to seeing the kind of in-person outreach opportunities that the city tackles next year. Lastly, this experience really taught me that you get what you put into it. Going into GreenCorps, I really wanted to grow and be exposed to a new area, and I feel I'm walking away with a whole new perspective on water and water quality. In addition to serving with my host site, I was able to take advantage of many different volunteer opportunities training, and other civic engagement things in my community. As I mentioned earlier, in addition to serving at a host site, Green Corps members have a large opportunity to go into the community and better themselves both through community development and professional development. I've had the opportunity to engage in a variety of community projects and events, such as planting a pollinator garden and volunteering at local organizations. A few other Green Corps members and I had the opportunity to be storytelling mentors for the Talk Climate Institute with Climate Generation earlier this spring. As a mentor, we practiced how to tell engaging stories and learn about the power of stories to convey climate change. Everyone had a different background on climate change, but it was my responsibility to facilitate conversation and create a safe space for people to share their thoughts and opinions. We didn't all need to reach the same conclusion, but instead respect each other's opinion. And by the end of the conference, we had developed a strong cohort of support for one another and recognized that our different perspectives and past lends itself well to interesting discussions and conversations. This experience has been pivotal in my ability to help develop interpersonal communication and connect with others in a short period of time and in a remote setting. In addition, I also decided to study to become a Sustainability Excellence Associate, an internationally recognized credential by the International Society of Sustainability Professionals. This credential demonstrates an understanding of core sustainability concepts and best practices, and it has exposed me to sustainability field in a new way and has given me the opportunity to learn and develop more in this field. Lastly, the city of Minneapolis will also be hosting a Green Corps member next year. And I hope that the member will have the opportunity to create opportunities, their own outreach opportunities, as well as continue some of the work that has already been done this past year, so that our projects will continue to be spread and widely utilized. And as for me, I just hope to continue to work in this field and create a more sustainable and socially just future for all. Lastly, I just want to thank MPCA, specifically the Minnesota Green Corps program staff, for the support that they have given all of us members. They are always there and ready to help us whenever we need it, and for that we are very thankful. Also, I want to thank the city of Minneapolis for choosing to host a Green Corps member. In particular, I want to thank those in the Surface Waters and Sewers regulatory team, as they have helped me grow in so many ways this past year. This was the first year that the city of Minneapolis, this team has hosted a Green Corps member. They took a chance on the program and they found it to be very beneficial in supporting their work. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with the city, and I look forward to seeing what great work they continue to do in the future. And thank you for your time. And at this point, I'll take any questions you might have.
Thanks, Lianna. That was really great. Especially that mini course for salt is a fabulous idea. So yeah, if anybody has any questions for Lianna, can either just unmute yourself, or if you want to throw them into the chat, we could do either way. Just while we're waiting for somebody to pipe up, I'm sort of curious, what was your biggest challenge this past year?
I would definitely say switching everything to a virtual setting rather than in person. When the work plan was originally laid out, a lot of it included going to in-person events, doing tabling, like actually directly communicating with the public, going door to door, handing out different flyers. Obviously, with the pandemic, that wasn't a viable opportunity. So we actually had to restructure my work plan in many ways to still allow us to do outreach and rely on past communication we've had with community members and how we can work with them in a virtual setting. So I would say, as probably for everyone, this past year has been a very challenging but also rewarding way to try to adapt.
Yep, definitely. All right. I'm not seeing any. So do you have a when does your term wrap up? Sorry, I was having technical difficulties at the beginning, so I didn't hear that.
So the Green Corps year ends in the middle of August. So we all have about a month
And do you
left.
have any?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, so you have any idea what you're jumping into next?
I am planning to hopefully get more into my biology background and go back to doing some field research and outdoor activity.
Right on. Let's see. Oh, Kristen has a question in the chat. Oh, and then I saw there's, oh, so I'm having trouble here. All right. David. Oh, so first we have David. Great idea to use local artists for design. How will the project get connected with these artists?
Yeah, so the city has something called a target market program, which is like a large database for smaller smaller businesses and local organizations to apply to be part of. They have to meet certain credentials, so not make a certain amount of money, and also have put their time into becoming part of this program. And in this database, we basically send out our scope of work, and then anyone who is interested can then bid on it and show what they would like to do with this information. And what's really great about it is that it's a resource that the city has already been using for years, and now we can kind of just tag along onto that and get a better understanding for what a community member might want to see rather than just someone who's working at the city. So those graphics that I showed earlier with those sample infographics are just some things that I threw together on Publisher, but it will probably be completely revamped into a new way based on feedback that we get from a local artist, so that their ideas and their perspective can be incorporated as well.
Nice. Kristen's question, I may have missed it during your presentation, but do you have an estimate of the number of people you reached in each of your efforts? For example, how many people took the SALT mini course?
Yeah. So the SALT mini course actually didn't launch until the winter season was unfortunately most of the way over. So not as many people are as interested in taking and learning more about winter when it's not winter right now. So this next Green Corps year, we're going to really focus on actually getting the information out in hopes that we'll get greater traffic on the website and more involvement. So far, there's been a limited number of people who have taken the SALT mini course. So if anyone here is interested or would like to share it widely with their community, I would greatly appreciate that as well. It's not just open to Minneapolis community members, but it's open to anyone who would like to learn a little bit more about salting during the winter.
And that's on the City of Minneapolis website, or how would people find it?
Yeah, you can just type in Minneapolis Salt Mini Course and it should come up on your search on the internet.
All right. Sounds good. Any other questions? Go. I'll put the that in the link or in the chat. All right.
Yes, perfect.
Well, thanks very much. If there's nothing, no other questions, we can all sign off. It was a wonderful presentation. Thanks, Lianna.
Yeah, thank you for
Good
having
luck.
me. It was great.
All right, we'll see y'all in a couple of weeks at the next one.
Great job.